75-year-old Eleanor's hand trembled as she served tea, but no one knew that those same hands had worked in the most dangerous operations of the Cold War 40 years ago. And her husband, William? He carried the same secret. The house at 47 Maple Avenue in Toronto's Willowdale neighborhood was one of those typical Canadian homes that everyone in the area loved. With flowers blooming in the garden every season, books being read on the front porch swing, and the smell of barbecue wafting through on Saturday mornings. And Eleanor and William Thornton were exactly the kind of couple that fit this picture. Eleanor would share cookie recipes with the neighborhood women, while William would give advice about neighbors' lawns. They attended church on Sunday mornings and watched the news on television in the evenings. They had lived in this house for 32 years, and no one had ever felt the need to question who they really were. Until that day. 18-year-old Sophie Richardson did pet-sitting work in the neighborhood. Her family, neighbors of the Thorntons, had assigned her to look after the Thorntons' cat during a week-long vacation. "They're such sweet elderly people," her mother had said. "Eleanor will definitely make you cookies." When Sophie rang the doorbell on Wednesday morning, Eleanor opened the door. She had that familiar warm smile on her face, wearing a flower-patterned apron. "Oh, Sophie. Welcome, dear. Our cat Whiskers is sleeping in the kitchen right now." Seeing the house from the inside surprised Sophie. Everything was carefully decorated, filled with antique furniture, old photographs on the walls. A typical retired couple's home. Eleanor showed her the cat's food and toys. Everything seemed perfectly normal. "William is in the garden," Eleanor said. "He's working with his tomatoes. He's very proud of them." When Sophie looked out the window, she indeed saw William, wearing a hat and gloves, working with the soil. Normal. But that night, everything changed. Sophie had come at 11 p.m. to give the cat its final check. She quietly entered with the key. Most of the lights were off. The couple must have been sleeping. She fed the cat and filled its water bowl. As she was leaving, she felt the need to use the bathroom and headed to the one in the hallway. That's when she heard it. William's voice, low, authoritative, in a tone she had never heard before. "The operation ended in failure. Dimitri's identity has been compromised. We have 48 hours. Sophie froze. The man speaking in this tone was not William the gardener. There was a cold professionalism in this voice. Then Eleanor's voice was heard. "Has the Ottawa connection been severed?" "Yes, but the Montreal route is still active. We need to move the archives." Sophie's heart began to race. Archives? Montreal? Who were these people? When the voices stopped, she began to breathe again, but her curiosity had grown as much as her fear. She slowly moved toward where the voices had come from, toward the end of the hallway. There was an open door there. Blue light was seeping through. When Sophie looked through the crack in the door, what she saw turned her entire world upside down. The room didn't look like an innocent retired couple's room at all. The walls were covered with large maps, but these weren't tourist maps. They had colored pins, markings, coordinates on them. Old photographs hung on one wall, but not family photos. Black and white photographs, unfamiliar faces, old uniforms. In the center of the room was a large metal table with old radios, code books, passports, dozens of passports with different names, and William and Eleanor were sitting there, but they were no longer William the gardener and Eleanor the cookie maker. William had maps open in front of him and was writing numbers on them. Eleanor was working with a device that looked like an old cipher machine. Both were extremely concentrated, professional. "We'll use the Vancouver route for the archive transfer operation," William said, "with our old identities." "Are those identities still valid after 40 years?" Eleanor asked. "They should be." "When Emergency Protocol C is activated, all old operatives automatically become active." Sophie's head was spinning. Were these people spies? Just as she decided to retreat, her foot made a sound on the creaking wooden floor. Both immediately turned around, and Sophie saw it. The cold steel look in William's eyes, Eleanor's instantly alert posture. These were definitely not innocent retirees. "Sophie," Eleanor said in a calm voice. "Come in." Sophie had no choice. She entered the room trembling. William stood up. He was completely different now. His posture, his gaze, everything had changed. How old are you, Sophie? 8, 18. Too young. Too young to see such things. William took one of the photographs from the table. Do you recognize this photograph? Sophie looked. In a black and white photograph, there was a young woman and man. The woman looked like Eleanor but much younger. The man also looked like William. This is Berlin, 1982, Eleanor said, the hottest period of the Cold War. William showed another photograph. This is Moscow, 1984, and this is Prague, 1985. Sophie couldn't speak. We've been living here for 32 years, Sophie, Eleanor said. For 32 years as Eleanor and William Thornton. But our real names are very different. William took 2 passports from the table. He opened one. James Blackwood, he said. He opened the other. Victoria Sterling. Sophie's knees began to tremble. Were you Soviet agents? Eleanor smiled. That cold smile she was seeing for the first time. No, Sophie. We were Canadian agents. CSIS, deep cover operatives. We had infiltrated the Soviets. And for 40 years, we played a double game against them. William began gathering the maps from the table. But now, some of our old friends have started asking uncomfortable questions. And we need to be cleaned, Eleanor said. Sophie's heart stopped. Cleaned. Oh no, dear, Eleanor said, laughing. Not you, U.S. We need to clean our identities. This house, this life, it was all an operational cover, and now the cover has been blown. William looked at her. You're in a very critical situation now, Sophie. Because you've seen things that people aren't supposed to see. Sophie closed her eyes. She was going to die. This elderly couple was going to kill her. But, Eleanor said, you also have a choice. Sophie opened her eyes. You come with us, William said, and with what you'll learn from us, you'll acquire valuable skills for your future. Or, Eleanor said, you forget this night. This room, this conversation, everything. And tomorrow morning, you wake up and continue taking care of Whiskers, as if nothing happened. Sophie was confused. So, you're not going to kill me? Both laughed. Sophie, we're not bad people, Eleanor said. We served our country for 40 years, but now it's time for us to retire. Really retire. William took a small device from the table. This is a memory scrambler. It doesn't hurt much. It will just erase your last 2 hours. Sophie backed away. No, please, Eleanor approached. Or you come with us and learn the real world, covert operations, international intelligence, real espionage. The choice is yours, Sophie, William said. But know this, if you choose to come with us, the old Sophie will be no more. You will be a completely different person. Sophie stopped. Her head was spinning. Was this real, or was it a dream? Eleanor put her hand on her shoulder. Think for 10 seconds, Sophie, then decide. Sophie looked. What she saw in this elderly couple's eyes wasn't frightening. It was incredibly exciting. Maybe this was the adventure she had been waiting for all her life. Sophie said, I want to come with you. Eleanor smiled. William nodded. Well then, Eleanor said, welcome, Sophie. Welcome to the real world, and the life Sophie knew ended that night. But a brand new, incredible life began. The next morning, neighbors saw that the Thorntons' house was empty. They had left a note. Sudden family situation. We may not return for a few months. But the truth was, James, Victoria, and Sophie, who now had the code name Charlotte, were preparing for a brand new operation. And this time, the target was much bigger. Sometimes the most ordinary-looking lives hide the most extraordinary secrets. And sometimes, an 18-year-old girl begins the greatest adventure of her life because she entered the wrong room. No one ever learned who Eleanor and William really were. But Sophie was now part of their journey. And perhaps this was just the beginning.